I think so. You guys did what I asked to do at the beginning of the screen. Did some people upload at the special cameo? You recognize, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Don Salon himself, the most famous actor in my film, actually. But yeah. Can you translate?
Yeah, I understand. Maybe we can start. I mean, the question before we go to the audience. Maybe you can explain to the audience a bit. I mean, about beginning, because I think this is connected. The story is connected to one of your friends that is similar to the character in the film.
Yes, the origin of the film actually happened in 2011. Funnily enough, that's also the year where I met you, at the same place actually, at Busan Film Festival, so the biggest film festival in Asia, in South Korea. And it was my first time in South Korea, and when I learned that I was going there, one of my best friends who inspired the film, her name is Laure Badufle, we studied together in France, phoned me to tell me that since I was going to South Korea, she would go with me for 1 week, accompany me there, because she wanted to show me what she called her country. I want to show you my country. And I was a bit shocked to hear that, because at the time that we studied together, so she's the same than Freddie, means that she was born in Korea and was adopted at the age of 1-2 year old in France and grew up there without never being back in Korea at the time. And for me, I grew up in France from Cambodian parents, but similarly to her, when I grew up until I was 25, I didn't know anything about the country of my parents, my country of origin. And so we would never talk together about the country of origin because there was not much to talk about, we didn't know anything at the time. But back in 2011, she already returned there to live there 2 years, and she came back to France. And one thing that she told me before we would go there together was, I warn you, I don't want to meet my Korean father, because I met him twice and things didn't go well and I don't like him. That's what she told me, and I say, okay, no problem, I didn't ask for anything. So we ended up being together in Busan. And after 2-3 days being at the festival, she told me that she just texted her father and she will meet him the day after, and she invited me to come with her. So all that story to show how the personality of my friend also was some kind of a model for the character of Freddie, which the impulsiveness and the unpredictability of her reaction and decisions, but also the contradictory feelings. And so I happened the day after to take a bus drive like in the film and to be sitting in front of her biological father, her biological grandma. And yeah, that was a scene that was really strong to witness. Very brutal in a way, in the multiple contradictory feelings that were confronting each other, the huge will to connect and to express, and sometimes the total impossibility of this connection because of language, because of different culture, because of too strong feeling, anger from the side of my friend, regret and sadness and sorrow from the side of the biological family. And so that was a starting point. Good luck for translation.
เรื่องคือถามเบื้องต้นนะครับว่าเรื่องนี้มันมาอย่างไรนะครับจริงมันย้อนไปเป็นเรื่องของเพื่อนเขานะครับปี 2011 นะครับเกือบ11 ปีก่อนเนี่ยนั่นเป็นครั้งแรกที่คุณเดวี่เนี่ยนะฮะคุณเดวี่ชงเนี่ยเป็นจริงๆแล้วเป็นคนโดยสัญชาติเป็นคนฝรั่งเศสนะแต่พ่อแม่เป็นคนกัมพูชาเป็นคนเกิดในฝรั่งเศสนะครับจริงๆแล้วเนี่ยจนถึงอายุ 25 เนี่ยเขาไม่เคยรู้เรื่องเท่าไหร่นะครับว่าประเทศที่พ่อแม่เขาจากมาอย่างกัมพูชาเป็นยังไงทีนี้เขามีเพื่อนนะฮะเพื่อนซึ่งเป็นอินสปิเรชันนะฮะตัวละครเฟรดดี้ในเรื่องเนี่ยนะฮะซึ่งเพื่อนคนนี้เนี่ยก็เรียนมาด้วยกันแล้วเมื่อพอเพื่อนเนี่ยรู้ว่าเดวี่เนี่ยจะไปตอนนั้นเขาทำหนังแล้วไปฉายที่ปูซานอินเตอร์เนชั่นแนลฟิล์มเฟสติวัลนะฮะก็เลยขอบอกว่าเนี่ยก็เหมือนชวนว่าไปด้วยกันนะฮะเพราะว่าตัวเพื่อนจริงๆเนี่ยก่อนนี้เขาเคยไปเกาหลีมาแล้วนะฮะแล้วก็เป็นครั้งแล้วเมื่อไปถึงแล้วเนี่ยเพื่อนก็บอกประมาณว่าเนี่ยยังไม่ค่อยอยากจะเจอพ่อเท่าไหร่เพราะว่ามีพ่อที่เป็นคนเกาหลีแต่สุดท้ายเนี่ยก็อยู่มาวันนึงเนี่ยเพื่อนก็บอกว่าเนี่ยเหมือนมีการเทคหาแล้วกันแล้วก็พ่อบอกว่าเนี่ยพาอยากจะไปเจอพ่อเพื่อนให้คุณเดวี่เนี่ยไปด้วยคุณเดวี่ก็เลยต้องไปนั่งเจอนะฮะเป็นเหตุการณ์ที่เกิดขึ้นที่ร้านอาหารนะฮะก็ไปเจอกับพ่อแล้วก็ย่าของผู้หญิงคนนี้นะฮะซึ่งประมาณว่าก็เป็นบรรยากาศที่ประหลาดนะครับเพราะว่ามันเป็นการเหมือนการเผชิญหน้ากันแล้วแน่นอนว่าในใจของตัวเพื่อนเขาเนี่ยมันก็มีความโกรธมีความรู้สึกหลายอย่างนะฮะที่อาจจะเห็นนะฮะในตัวละครของเฟรดดี้ในเรื่องนะครับ And so can I ask you when you start to make this project, I mean, did you ask, I mean, your friend, I mean, about this? That you want to make her story or somewhat like that into a film?
Yes, of course. So the story I was telling was in 2011, so a long time ago. At that time, I was far to know and to believe that I would make a film out of it. But for sure, I do remember that having witnessed that lunch, I was just thinking if that scene was in a film, that would be a terrific scene. And I just kept that in mind. After that, I did several films, including Diamond Island, the last feature I made in Cambodia. And after that, I was kind of trying to find ideas, and I thought of this whole idea. And it happened that at that time I had to go to London, and my friend Laura was living in London. Actually, she was selling weapons there. To say also that a lot of the thing in the...
You mean
my friend?
Yeah. She actually sell weapons.
She stopped, but she was for 10 years. So she told me it's okay to display that. I will not dare to do it if it wasn't okay. And then so we got a drink together and we talk, and I just say, I have this idea, this weird idea to make a film based on your life. What do you think? And she was immediately very positive about it and really open to say, yeah, please, I will be happy if you do it. And what I didn't expect is that few weeks after this discussion, she sent me an email with a 40 pages Word doc, which she wrote after our meeting, in which she was describing in very small detail all her journey in Korea, the many times that she went there, the first time that she met her father, and the one time that she was going to the adoption center. And that document became the basis and the foundation of the script.
หน้าที่นี้ก็เลยถามว่าอะไรอย่างนี้ตอนจะทำเนี่ยได้บอกเพื่อนไหมแล้วเพื่อนว่าอย่างไรอย่างเงี้ยนะฮะก็ทีนี้เนี่ยตอนที่ย้อนไปเมื่อปี 2011 เนี่ยตอนที่เขาเห็นฉากที่เพื่อนเนี่ยไปเจอกับพ่อแล้วก็ย่าเนี่ยเขารู้สึกเลยว่าจริงๆแล้วมันเป็นฉากที่อยู่ในหนังมันคงจะน่าสนใจมากนะฮะแต่ว่าตอนนั้นก็ยังไม่แน่ใจว่ายังไงนะฮะแต่ว่าสุดท้ายพอทำหนังไปได้สักมีทั้ง Diamond Island หรือหลายๆเรื่องก็เคยฉายในไทยไปแล้วนะฮะเขาคิดว่าอันเนี้ยก็ถึงเวลาที่จะไปทำเป็นหนังก็เลยไปคุยกับเพื่อนตอนนั้นเพื่อนเนี่ยอยู่ที่ลอนดอนนะฮะก็มีอาชีพเป็นตอนนั้นขายอาวุธนะฮะก็จากนั้นเนี่ยก็คือคุยกันเพื่อนก็บอกว่าโอเคนะฮะแบบรู้สึกอยากให้ทำแล้วก็ปรากฏว่าหลังจากนั้นคุยกันได้ 2-3 สัปดาห์เนี่ยเพื่อนก็ส่งอีเมลมาหานะฮะเป็นข้อมูลทั้งหมดนะฮะของตัวเขาเกี่ยวกับเรื่องว่าไปเจอพ่อกี่ครั้งยังไงเขาส่งมาให้นะฮะคือพูดง่ายก็หนังเรื่องนี้ก็คงมาจากส่วนนั้นนะครับ and can I ask you frankly I mean after she watched the film what did she think?
Well, it's a good question because it's a lot of things comes from her, obviously. After receiving her doc, I researched, I watched films, I met other adoptees, and so the process of writing the script, which I think took nearly 3 years, not full time, but here and there is like full 3 years, was like mixing her story with different elements, including also personal elements. But I was a bit shy to first show her the script. I was, it's like, no, I mean, I discovered that it's like when you're working on the life of someone and they are generous enough to give you somehow part of their life, you feel very apprehensive about not being at the level of this generosity, let's say. So I showed her the script first before the shooting, and I was very afraid, and she enjoyed the script, so I was very happy. And then I shot the film, and during the editing, I was very hesitant about when to show her the film. And at the end, we discussed, and she decided not to see the film, but to wait for the premiere of the film. So she discovered the film in Cannes Film Festival, actually. When we showed the film in Cannes, she came from Paris to Cannes, and she was here at the premiere. So it was very moving, I think, for both of us to share this moment together. And I remember that after the screening of the film, she was very moved and very happy. But a few weeks later, she asked to have a coffee in Paris, and then her feelings were more mixed. She was saying that she was very enthusiastic in Cannes, but after that she was rethinking of the film, and I could see some form of disappointment for her, or not disappointment, but kind of the experience of suddenly having her life exposed in the film was kind of strange. She was even questioning, like, she was thinking if she was not a bit manipulated finally for me to make a film. And so we discussed, and we are very close friends, so of course I was not happy to hear that, and I was disappointed myself or embarrassed, but we discussed. And a few weeks later she came to another screening in Paris, and she watched the film, and it was in presence of other Korean adoptees and other adoptees from international adoptee associations, and the reaction of the crowd was very strong, including from the adoptees in the audience. And So we had drinks after, and that night she was very, very happy. So I think it's a bit like in the film, Freddie is going through like some kind of roller coaster of emotions. And so to be very honest, I try to be honest in that answer is, yeah, maybe soon she will be against, like maybe regretful of me making that film, but yeah, it was evolving feelings.
ก็เลยถามนะครับว่าลงตัวให้เอาให้เพื่อนดูเพื่อนว่ายังไงนะฮะเขาก็บอกว่าจริงเรื่องนี้เนี่ยคือเรื่องมันมาจากตัวเขานะจริงๆแต่ว่ามันก็มีการไปทำรีเสิร์ชนะคุณเดวี่เนี่ยไปทำรีเสิร์ชมา3 ปีนะฮะมันก็จะผสมเรื่องตรงโน้นของคนอื่นด้วยมันจะมีคนอื่นที่มาให้คำปรึกษาในการทำหนังเรื่องนี้นะฮะจนสุดท้ายก็เหมือนกับว่าจริงๆตอนที่ถ่ายหรืออะไรเนี่ยเขาก็รับรู้ตลอดนะฮะจนมาถึงตอนตัดเนี่ยคุณเดวี่ก็ลังเลว่าอาจจะยังไงดีจะให้ดูไม่ให้ดูสุดท้ายเพื่อนก็บอกว่าไม่เป็นไรดูตอนที่ฉายเลยแล้วกันเพื่อนเนี่ยก็ไปดูที่คานนะฮะตอนที่หนังเรื่องนี้ฉายที่เทศกาลภาพยนตร์เมืองคานเขาดูแล้วเขาก็มีความสุขนะฮะแต่ว่าปรากฏว่า 2-3 สัปดาห์ต่อมาเนี่ยมีการนัดเจอกันเพื่อนเขาก็จะมีความรู้สึกมันก็คงเข้าใจได้นะเขารู้สึกว่าเหมือนชีวิตเนี่ยโดนเอามาทำเป็นหนังอะไรเงี้ยมันอาจจะมีความรู้สึกแปลกๆอาจจะเป็นความรู้สึกผิดหวังหรืออะไรก็แล้วแต่นะฮะว่าเหมือนเขาเอาชีวิตมาเล่าอะไรเงี้ยมากไปหรือเปล่าอะไรเงี้ยสุดท้ายก็หลังจากนั้นหนังมีการฉายอีกรอบนะฮะที่ปารีสพอหนังคราวนี้เนี่ยก็มีการเชิญบุคคลที่มีลักษณะเหมือนเฟรดดี้เนี่ยนะฮะซึ่งเป็นคนเอเชียนะฮะที่ถูกพ่อแม่ในฝรั่งเศสนะฮะรับไปเลี้ยงดูเนี่ยก็มาชมภาพยนตร์เรื่องนี้ก็กระแสตอบรับเนี่ยก็ดีมากนะคนชอบกันมากซึ่งคิดว่าตอนนั้นเนี่ยตัวเพื่อนเขาเนี่ยก็มีความสุขเพราะฉะนั้นอารมณ์ของตัวเพื่อนเขาก็คงเหมือนกับเฟรดดี้ในเรื่องนะฮะมันมีขึ้นมีลงนะฮะก็เป็นความรู้สึกที่อาจจะเกิดขึ้นได้ Maybe we should start asking the audience maybe who will be the first one to ask question please okay เชิญเลยครับตะโกนเอา can you shout yes sorry please yeah. So how did you find the main actress, which is Jimin?
Yeah, so the main actress, Jimin Park, it was kind of miraculous to meet her actually because she's not a professional actress. It was her first time acting, but also she never wanted to be an actress. She's a visual artist based in Paris. I got to know her from a common friend who, after I explained him what I wanted to do, and he himself is a Korean adoptee French artist, and he told me, you should meet Jimin. Everything you talk about your character make me think of her, although she's not an artist and she's not adoptee herself, but you should meet her. So I was intrigued. I make a big casting before that or during that. I met a lot of Korean adoptees in France. It was a fascinating experience to listen to their stories, but somehow I didn't find the right one. And I met few professional actresses having some Korean origin, but it was very small because the Korean immigration history is small compared to other Asian immigration in France, like in Cambodia, China, or Vietnam. So when I met her, we just got a coffee and share about life experiences. And after that 3 hours coffee, it was crazy for me how much it looked like she knew all that Freddie had experienced in terms of emotions, in terms of life experience, in terms of personality, and someone who dared to go into some kind of dark zones and put herself into danger, I would say like that, to simplify. And so I was kind of amazed, and maybe 1 week later, we make a casting test, and she was amazingly natural on just like improvisation and short text, and I was thinking, okay, we can work together. And I used to work with non-professionals, so that's not something that I'm afraid of, but we did work after together.
Okay, so to make it quicker, I think I should stop translating in Thai because there are not so many time left.
It depends.
So next question, please. So we can have time for more questions. Anybody? Raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, the song. I think that's interesting because that's a famous song, and why? Where did you hear it from? Why did you decide to put it in the film?
Yeah, I'm not expert in Korean vintage song from the 70s, or song from the 70s, although the bar where Freddie dances, which is a vintage bar, I used to visit it on my first trip in 2011, and that was my first connection with that kind of music. And I knew I wanted to use some in the film. But this particular song that opens the film, it was when I was doing the casting of the film, I was not so knowledgeable about Korean actors, because basically the Korean films I used to watch are the most famous artistic director that we can see the films of in France, such as Lee Chang-dong, Hong Sang-soo, Bong Joon-ho, and so I wanted to see more. So there is a Korean Netflix named Watch Out, and I watched like endlessly during many quarantines that I had to do during the COVID, many of their films. And then I ended up watching a film named Petals, Petal, which is a Korean classic film, and it opens with that music, and that opening with that music, so it's also in the beginning of the film, like in my film, was very strong. So I knew I wanted to use that music, but particularly like in the editing, we try a lot of different things. And somehow this particular music was a mix, I think, of joy and nostalgia and melancholy, like mix and blended together, that other music will bring me too much joy or too much sadness. And this one was, I was feeling not in the middle, but ambivalent and ambiguous between the two feelings, and that was, I think, was interesting for me.
เราก็เป็นเพลงจากหนังเก่านะครับ Okay, next question. Anybody? Anybody have questions? Over there? Yes, we can you shout สอบตะโกนหน่อยนะครับ
How long did it take me to film the movie? It was pretty short, actually. We only had 6 weeks, which means 30 days, because we were shooting 5 days a week. Because I need 2 weeks in between to prepare the next week, and because of reduction of budget, like few weeks before shooting, I was imposed to shoot 29 days instead of 30. So that was a bad memory for me to have to cut 1 day before. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but 6 weeks, it's short. Sometimes we can shoot independent film in 3 weeks, only 15 days. This for sure I know, but as you can see in the film, is so many scenes, so many locations. That's in terms of production and logistics means make it complicated, but also because you need to move all the time, but also so many actors actually, because as there is 4 periods in the film, I had to deal with a lot of different actors for different periods, a lot of different languages. I don't speak Korean. I had to deal with non-professional actors, not only Jimin, but also the actress who played Tena, the best friend at the beginning, but also the actress playing Lucy, the other Korean adoptee in the middle, but also the Korean boyfriend, KK, or the 2 women working at the adoption centers. They're all non-professionals, so we had to work together in rehearsal, and facing very professionals such as the Korean father or the Korean aunts, who are very famous Korean actors. So all this was very challenging. So I found myself under pressure, I would say, under a lot of stress, and every day was kind of a battle, like a real battle of, we have everything that we can fail and how to make that day successful. So it was intense.
Okay, so I think they told me time's up. So unfortunately, maybe you can speak outside if you have more question. But thank you so much for coming to watch the film today, and thank you, Devi, for coming all the way to Bangkok.
Thank you so much. Thank you.